Hi, it's Lydia Royals from Fact Forward, Public Relations Specialist. I'm sitting down with ReZsaun Lewis from Lowcountry Youth Services to hear more about the excellent job they're doing reaching the youth in their community. We're hoping that hearing from him and what they're doing will inspire other partners, other people in the community doing this work to reach out to their youth in new and creative ways.
Absolutely.
So you guys have been implementing the Making Proud Choices Plus curriculum, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so this curriculum, for people who maybe don't know, is a curriculum that teaches about teen pregnancy prevention, HIV, AIDS, STDs, using a comprehensive approach. And it also mentions healthy relationships, safer sex, condom use, things like that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So before we dive too deep into what you guys are doing, I want to hear a little bit more about your background and then what Low Country Youth Services does.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is ReZsaun Lewis. I am the executive director of Lowcountry Youth Services, which is an organization that strives to help young people to guide them through the transitions of adulthood. And through that takes many different forms depending on who the child is and what that child needs. But our flagship organization is called the Distinguished Gentlemen's Club Mentoring Program. And what we do is we work with young men from 8 to 18, and we guide them through the transitions of manhood through life skill training, positive mentorship relationships, as well as community service and community workshops. That's the organization that people in our neighborhood, in our area, know us the most for. Our organization was founded in 2010 by Officer Ricardo Perry, who was a student resource officer at a middle school. And he wanted to work with young men at the school who he realized did not have positive male mentors. So he said, I'm going to put this organization together and I'm going to start working with kids. And that organization became the Distinguished Gentlemen's Club. That was in 2010. Moved forward to 2016, I came on board, and we've been able to really do an amazing job of adding programming to the organization that improves the community, both within the organization as well as in the larger community through community workshops. We have a grant with a Fact Forward organization that allows us to provide workshops in the community. So we've done the Let's Talk About It event, which helps young people talk about, helps parents learn how to speak to their children about sex and reproductive health. We've done the Huddle Up to Healthy Relationships event, which teaches teens about the ills of teen dating violence and recognizing healthy relationships, as well as the Making Proud Choices workshop, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Awesome. So how do you recruit people for this program and why did you choose Making Proud Choices?
Okay, so Making Proud Choices was a part of our grant that we received through the Fact Forward organization. So we knew that we had to implement the curriculum in a workshop format so that we could get it to the requisite amount of people. Well, before the COVID-19 outbreak, the plan was to do a one-day workshop with our members, get all of them in one place, order a bunch of pizzas, just hammer it out and spend a full day doing it. Well, of course, COVID threw a monkey wrench in our plans, so we had to switch to an online format. So one, that switched the amount of kids we knew we'd be able to get access to, because there's no way you're going to be able to have kids sit on a computer for 10 hours straight and listen to you.
Yeah.
If they don't fall asleep, they're probably just not going to come in the first place. So that was the first thing we realized we needed to adjust fire there. And secondly, we realized because it was an online format, it really expanded our ability to reach people. So we were actually able to reach people not only in the Low Country area, but outside of the state of South Carolina. We actually had kids that joined us from 4 different states, 3 different states outside of South Carolina, New York, Philly, Virginia, and then we had 1 kid from North Carolina, so 4 other states.
So tell me a little bit about how your work and relationships prior to COVID really set the foundation for your success of these online workshops.
Okay, so prior to COVID-19, we built relationships with our families. The cornerstone of what we do as an organization is really the relationships that we have with our families. That goes in everything from our programming, when it comes to the things that we teach the kids, how we work with the parents, how we address the parents, And everything that we do, like I said, goes back to that, even to the point where on our second Saturdays, we have our club meetings where we do our training for our members. And during that time, we actually normally have training for our parents as well. So we'll have speakers come out, people who help them work with their credit, or maybe speaks to them about, how to find help for children who may be struggling academically, as well as social services and things of that nature that parents are really interested in hearing more about, as well as also career fairs and things of that nature that we do for them. So we make a big effort to make sure that the parents feel involved in our organization. So with that being the case, when everything had to go online, the first thing we had to figure out is how do we engage our members, because we can't reach out and touch them where we normally did. So we moved a lot of our things that we would do in person, going by and visiting, or our in-person club meetings, we made them online. So we started doing Google Hangouts. We do a Marco Polo video chats. We use TikTok. We did a TikTok challenge where kids could actually make videos and compete to win a gift card for that. And we also did a Google birthday party, actually. We did a Google Hangout birthday party because two of our members had a birthday in the same week, and we wanted to make sure that they still had a good time. So we all got on our gaming systems, and we all had a virtual gaming party, and we talked through Google Hangouts. So that was really cool. So we had already implemented things online that made it a lot easier when we said, okay, we want to have this workshop that we're going to move online. So what we did with the workshop was, instead of having that 10 hours straight, we broke it into 8 days from Monday through Thursday, and then Monday through Thursday. So 2 weeks, 8 days, and that really allowed us to go through the training in a meaningful and impactful way. And I find like that the kids who came, they really, really enjoyed it. One thing that we did to make sure that the kids felt involved and felt motivated to come back was that I actually kept track of all the people who came, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we did with that was, for every night that you came, you got a ticket, or a certain amount of tickets. The more nights you came, the more tickets you got. And so they knew how many tickets they had going through it. And for those who got, well, for everyone who came, for every night that you came, even if you came one night, you still got a ticket. And so we bought 5 $50 gift cards, and we did a raffle at the end of the workshop, which we gave away to 5 members who had attended the trainings. So that was really cool as a motivating factor. The kids would always want to know how many tickets do we have now? How far are we along? And so at the end of the last workshop, they're like, Mr. Lewis, you have to do the raffle. So I did the raffle, and the kids got their gift cards. And I actually drove those around yesterday, and gave them to the kids who came to the workshops. And I have to mail one to a kid in Philly because he won one.
Nice.
So cool too. Yeah.
So every training, I hear that you set some ground rules. How did those ground rules change because it's online now?
Yes. So our organization, another great thing that came out of this workshop being online was that it expanded beyond the Lowcountry. So we were able to involve not only people, girls, because we actually had females who were originally going to be an all boys workshop. Mm-hmm. Well, because it wasn't just our club, we were able to involve females as well. So actually, I have 4 daughters. 3 of my daughters were involved in the workshop, and my son was also involved in the workshop. And then lots of other females from around the city was involved in the workshop as well. And people out of state as well were able to get involved. So that's really that we wanted to make sure that, because they weren't a part of our group, our mentor group, that we wanted to make sure that they could be feel as though they are also a part of the group, part of the family, if you will. So that first day, we took the Making Proud Choices manual, and one of the requirements in the beginning is to make sure that you establish that set of ground rules. So I asked them, hey, what are you interested, what would make this a safe place for you, where you feel open to speaking, open to talking. So we went over those ground rules, and of course I wanted to make sure that I went back and looked at the manual to make sure that I did involve everything that they required as well. One thing that came out of that they didn't mention that was in the manual that was really key was the step up, step back rule, where it says, if you're someone who normally likes to ask questions or normally likes to answer questions, maybe you step back and give somebody else an opportunity. And if you're somebody who doesn't normally like to answer questions, maybe you step up and make your voice heard and be bold. So we definitely found opportunities to get everybody involved, and that was something that really carried itself throughout the sessions.
Great. So I'm also wondering how participants responded online versus how maybe participants have responded and in-person workshops that you've done before.
Okay.
Sometimes adolescents are a little more comfortable online than they might be in person. Was that a theme or anything? Did you see anything different?
So we used Zoom. So one thing that I did to make sure that everybody was engaged was I asked them to keep their cameras on. I didn't allow them to come in and turn their cameras off because you never know, they may turn the video on and then just go walk out the room and then come back at the end and say, I was here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I could see their faces. So I asked very kindly, I said, please, if you have a camera on your device, please turn your camera on, because I want to make sure that I'm engaging you and I'll make sure that this is interesting for you.
Right.
So that kept them, it kept them on their toes. There were a couple times the kids did fall asleep, and we had our ways to deal with that. We had our ways of dealing with that. I'd ask them politely, hey, if this is not the night for you, maybe you come back tomorrow. Or, maybe you should stand up and take part. But we want to make sure that you are getting this information, because this is important information for you. Namely, my 12-year-old fell asleep a couple times, probably because he's gaming too late. I don't know. But he fell asleep a couple times. So I told him, hey, son, stand up, stand up with your computer and just, make sure you're staying engaged. And he really got a lot out of it. So he was actually glad that he stayed up. Another thing that we did to make sure that they were involved was we made sure that we rotated the questions. So even if it was like myths and facts, like we'd make sure that everybody did that. I also used the comment section. So I'd have them type into the comment section if they thought it was a myth or a fact before I responded. Or I'd do like round robin, let everybody answer. And we played games. We did the Jeopardy. I actually, because I'm a former teacher, I taught 4th and 5th grade for 5 years. I was able to use some of the stuff that I learned as a teacher. The Jeopardy, I actually created the online Jeopardy. And we actually had the board, and so I was sharing my screen, and we could all see the Jeopardy, and we picked our stuff. And I made it all a game, tying back to the tickets. So if the team won, then they could get more tickets. They got 4 tickets for every game they won. And if you lost, you still got 2 tickets. So you were motivated to be involved. And we did a lot of team stuff with that. And we did online polls as well, where they could answer polls. I just tried to mix it up and keep throwing things at them so that it was not monotonous. Yeah, and one more thing that we did was we engaged our community partners. And I'm sorry if I speak fast. I know that I speak really quickly. Another thing that we did is we engaged our community partners to help us facilitate it. So that wouldn't be my voice all the time. So it wouldn't be the same person talking every time. We actually engaged 3 of the mentors from our organization actually facilitated the training, as well as we had guest speakers from Empower, an organization, the Empower program here in the Lowcountry, as well as a couple of other organizations that helped to pitch in. And other mentors actually came in and chimed in, so they helped me fact check a few things to make sure that we had the information that was right. We used YouTube videos. We used so many things just to make sure that it would be interesting to the kids, like continuously interesting. And the one thing in the feedback that they gave us was that they said it was never boring. Like even if they fell asleep, it wasn't because it was boring, it was just because they were tired. So it was pretty cool to hear that from them as well.
Yeah, that's excellent feedback from teens.
Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
So tell me about any maybe challenges or difficulties and then successes you had implementing online that might be beneficial for another organization interested in doing something like this.
Yeah. So the challenges are anytime you do something online, you don't have that captive audience. So it may be, if you had that 1-day workshop, whoever starts with you is probably going to be there with you until the end of the day. So that you have that leverage there. There were a few kids who may have came a couple times and didn't stay, didn't come to every workshop because of whatever reason. Maybe they had something else going on the next day. I don't know what they had going on during the quarantine, but but they didn't come back. Some didn't come back the next day, which is okay. But for the most part, we started first day with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And of those 13, 11 of them stayed with us every day.
That's great.
So some came and some left in the middle of that, but those 11 kids really stayed with us from the beginning to the very end, and that was really encouraging. That was really encouraging to see. So that's really the only challenge, is being able to get them to commit to that time for that long of a time frame. The successes was the interactions that we were able to have. It was really cool. Most nights I would actually finish the workshop And I would tell the kids, because I didn't want them to have to stick around longer than they had to, I'd say, hey, if you have any additional questions about what we talked about today, I'm going to stay on until everybody's ready to leave. So kids would literally stay in and ask me questions after it about the stuff that we talked about. That were really thought-provoking questions about things that you don't think that teens care about, but they do. They care about a lot, and they may not know how to express it until you actually provide that information. Personally, my daughter, I got to show you this. Hold 1 second. So my 12-year-old daughter, whom it was really awkward for me having this, with the depth of the conversations that we're having with my own children. Of course, we've all had the talk, but I mostly do it with my son, and my wife does it with my daughters. So I've never really had this conversation with my daughter. So it challenged me in that way to do it. But I actually found this after I was done, and I don't know if you can see this, but my daughter took notes while we were, like, my 12-year-old was taking notes about the things that we talked about. And some of the things, and this is not stuff that I asked her to do at all, but she was so interested in the information. She was like, I need to know this stuff. So she wrote down, when we did the goals and values, goals and dreams, she wrote down her goals and dreams, and then the myth and fact, and she wrote that stuff down. And she also wrote down the keywords, she wrote down the, what does AIDS mean? What does HIV mean? And now, when we talk about stuff at the table, our conversations at the dinner table are even more fruitful, because we don't have to talk around things. We can literally talk about things in a way that is really truthful. So if that's happening with my own kids, then I can only imagine what's happening with these kids who don't have parents who are as well able to communicate these things. And so I was really encouraged by that. So yeah.
That's awesome. Good anecdote.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lastly, we'll be wrapping it up. I want to know about your why. Why do you think this content is important, and why do you think it's important for youth in your community and apparently other states to have this content and for you to teach it?
It's always important to know your why. It's always important to know why you do what you do, especially when you talk about things like a mission statement and your vision statement and the thing that your organization says that it's doing. It's one thing to say that we care about kids. It's a totally different thing to act on caring about kids and implementing programs that are going to be beneficial to kids long term down the road. So for me, this really gets to the heart of a lot of situations that kids are not being spoken to about. Kids are not being spoken to about sex, not in a substantive way by an adult who cares about them and loves them. Kids are being spoken to about sex by their friends who have just as little information as they do. And we know that these things lead to risky behaviors, which lead to STDs, which leads to pregnancy, which leads to things that getting things that they can't get rid of. And that's a harmful thing when we are organizations that say we care about kids. So if we care about kids, then we should be taking actionable steps towards making sure that we are providing the real-time implementations, that things that they can use in their future. I just think it's so important that we walk our talk. And as long as we're walking our talk as our individual organization, whatever your mission may be, then I think we're going to be okay. But I think that you cannot say that you care about kids and not be heavily invested in making sure that they understand their sexual reproductive health. You just can't.
ReZsaun, thank you for being a trusted adult and for being willing to teach this sometimes uncomfortable content. It's really important, and we appreciate it. Also, thank you for your time doing this. If somebody wants to reach out to you or your organization, you guys are so active on social media. Where can they find you guys?
So Lowcountry Youth Services, you can find us at www.lowcountryyouth.org. You can find us on Instagram at Lowcountry Youth or Distinguished Gentlemen's Club. Facebook, Lowcountry Youth Services, Twitter.
So you're everywhere.
We're everywhere. We're we're even on TikTok. We have a TikTok channel. It's at Lowcountry Youth. Yeah,
I've
man.
seen some of the TikTok challenges, and they're
Yeah.
very funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
our kids are hysterical, and it's our kids are hysterical. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's definitely engaging content. Nothing boring on
Yes.
Distinguished Gentleman's Instagram, that's for sure.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes, ma'am.
right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'll be sure to link those in the post
Good.
when this goes live. And just thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.